Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vidhamscha Om Jnana Timarandasha Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindam Vidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagawat Prem Noi Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Baranam Balarka Chelan Shitam Sandrananda Puram Sareka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shidaram Vanshikopatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur with translation by Sarvabhavana Prabhu. And this is where I say Sarvabhavana Prabhu, Bengali name Sarvabhavana. But I met him, he's nice. And this is Madhya-khanda, chapter 11, the Pastimes of Sri Nityananda. O Lord Gauranga, O most precious treasure, O unlimited ocean of Krishna Prema, where do you come from? You are the Lord and manifest of the helpless, the true friend of the downtrodden. All glory to you, Lord Vishvambar, the most powerful and regal of the Brahmins. Victory to all your associates who are like honeybees attracted to the nectar of your lotus feet. You are as dear to Paramananda Puri as his own life, and you are the greatest wealth in the possession of Swarup Damodar. You are very dear to Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami and the hearts of Jagadish and Gopinath. Lord Vishvambar continued to perform his pastimes in Navadip, unknown to every eye. The blessed Srivas Pandit sat in his own house, situated in the central island of Navadip, and saw the endless and marvelous pastimes of the Lord. He served the Lord with pure love, and saw the Mahaprakash Leela pastime along with the other Vaishnavas. Lord Nityananda was residing in the house of Srivas Pandit, whom he loved and respected as his father. Lord Nityananda was continually manifesting the mood of a little child and often drank the breast milk of Malini, the wife of Srivas. Malini's breast had long dried up, but upon Nityananda's touch, milk again flowed from her breast. She was amazed at such miraculous happenings. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered her not to reveal this to anyone, and every day saw Nityananda's childlike behavior. Vishvambar said to Nityananda, "Listen, Nityananda, to avoid arguments and fights with anyone, do not behave recklessly in Srivasa's house." Nityananda objected, saying, "Krishna, you can never see me acting recklessly. You cannot find another person as well behaved as I am." Vishvambar replied, "I know you only too well, Nityananda." Nityananda said, "Let me hear you point out my mistakes and ill behavior." Smiling, Chaitanya said, "Oh, you want to know your mistakes? You throw showers of rice in every room." Nityananda countered, "This is only the work of a madman, and such mischief must be stopped. You want to falsely blame me and not give me any food to eat. If you want to eat everything by yourself, that is all right with me. But why do you defame me to everyone?" Chaitanya replied, I feel embarrassed and must rectify such misconduct, so I am now trying to correct you. Nityananda smiled and said, that is very good. You must always teach me whenever you see me misbehaving. You are correct in assuming that I am the culprit. He then broke into peals of laughter. Nityananda became immersed in a great ocean of happiness and became oblivious to all. Taking off his cloth, he tied it around his head, standing naked before all. He pranced about in great leaps, bubbling with laughter, sometimes staggering like a drunken man. Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Pandit, and Haridas beheld the sight of the Lord's special mercy, for it was meant to teach a lesson to the whole world. Vishwambar held Nityananda and said, what are you doing? Such behavior is inappropriate in a householder's house. You just told me that you are not mad. However, the next moment you have contradicted your own words. What reaction can words have upon one who is oblivious of the external world? Nityananda was floating on the waves of ecstasy. Vishwambar himself had to dress Nityananda Prabhu. Such are his inconceivable activities. Nityananda, like a maddened lion, was unaware of everything, and Chaitanya's words fell on deaf ears. Nityananda would not even eat with his own hands, so Malini had to feed him. Malini, the chaste and righteous wife of Srivas Pandit, could sense Nityananda's inner feelings, and so she served him like a mother to a son. One day, a crow stole a small bell metal container and flew away out of sight, upsetting Malini Devi. The crow suddenly returned, but without the container. Malini Devi could well guess her husband's reaction if he were to see that the ghee vessel of Krishna was missing. His temper was nothing short of a thunderstorm. She felt helpless and began to weep. Just then Nityananda came by and saw the tears streaking down Malini Devi's eyes. Smiling, he asked, why are you crying? Tell me the cause of your distress. I will take care of everything. Malini Devi tearfully replied, oh, listen, Gosai. A crow flew away with the ghee vessel. Who knows where? Nityananda assured her. Mother, kindly stop weeping and worrying. I will surely get your vessel back. The Lord spoke to the crow, smiling pleasantly. O crow, go and bring back the vessel quickly. Nityananda resides in everyone's heart. Who has the power to disobey his orders? The crow immediately flew off, followed by the distraught eyes of Malini Devi. Returning soon with a vessel in his beak, the crow put it near Malini Devi. From this incident, Malini Devi could very well understand the extraordinary potency of Nityananda. Swooning with ecstasy, she began offering prayers to the Lord. For he who can bring back to life from the custody of Yamaraj, the dead son of his guru, and for he who maintains the cosmic manifestation. What is so wonderful in bringing back a small vessel from a crow? Upon his head rests the unlimited creation, and he does not even feel its weight whilst performing his pastimes. Just chanting his name destroys the endless ocean of nescience. To influence a crow to return a small vessel it had stolen is not an extraordinary deed for him. In the past, as Lakshman, you were guarding Sita Devi while living in the forest, yet you only looked at her feet and no other part of her body. Your powerful arrows later defeated and exterminated the entire demon family of Ravana, and so winning back the small vessel is indeed an insignificant deed. At whose lotus feet the river Jamuna Devi begged forgiveness and offered chosen prayers and glorification, and for he who has the potency to maintain the 14 worlds, what marvel is it for him to get back a small vessel from a crow? Yet none of your activities can be diminished, since all of your activities, however easy and small they may seem, are transcendental in the absolute truth. This is the clear verdict of the Vedas. Nityananda smiled as he listened to her prayers and remarked in his childlike manner, I want to eat. Whenever Malini Devi saw Nityananda, milk would ooze from her breast out of spiritual parental love, and Nityananda would fulfill her spiritual desires by suckling upon her breast like a small child. These are some of the inconceivable pastimes of Nityananda. My capacity to describe them is limited. Fortunately, the pastimes of the Lord are already widely known all over the world. His activities are extraordinary and difficult to understand. Those who know him in truth can easily accept all his pastimes, for Nityananda is always immersed in ecstasy. He moves freely about Nadia, as does the brilliant sun across the azure vault. A mystic yogi or a learned scholar or anybody may think and say anything about Nityananda. People may comment that Nityananda is not a close associate of Chaitanya. I do not care to hear about any such remarks. I only pray that his lotus feet remain imprinted in the depths of my heart. In spite of hearing of his glory, many atheists criticize Nityananda. I kick them on the head, hoping for the Lord's mercy upon them. Nityananda is so lost in his transcendental pastimes in Srivas Pandit's house that Lord Gauranga has to look after him. One day, Sri Chaitanya was sitting in his house together with his wife, Vishnu Priya Devi, whose exquisite beauty is matched only by Lakshmi Devi. She prepared betel pan for the Lord, and he accepted them, smiling with pleasure. In this way, they spent days and nights together, lost in the pleasure of each other's company. Mother Sachi's heart exalted to heights of unknown joy as she saw the happy couple. Lord Chaitanya knew the reason for his mother's exhilaration, and so he spent much time with his wife. Around this time, Nityananda, who was always immersed in bliss, came to Chaitanya's house in a restless mood. He stood before everyone, naked like an innocent child, not feeling any shame. Chaitanya inquired, Nityananda, why are you without clothes? Nityananda replied with a smile, it is so, it is so, it is so. Chaitanya requested, Nityananda, wear your clothes. He replied, today I shall leave. Chaitanya insisted, why? Nitai responded, I cannot eat anymore. Chaitanya then said, when I say something to you, why do you answer with a completely different subject? Nitai replied, I want all round attention. Angrily, Lord Chaitanya said, this is not my fault. Nitai replied, my Lord, Sachi Devi is not here. Chaitanya pleaded, be merciful and wear your clothes. Nityananda replied, I will eat. Like this, Nityananda is always in the mood of serving Sri Chaitanya. While one hears, the other speaks, and Nityananda wanders all over Nadia, laughing joyfully. Lord Chaitanya got up and personally dressed Nitai, whilst Nitai continued chuckling. Sachi Devi smiled seeing Nityananda's activities and felt motherly affection toward him, thinking of Vishwarup. Nityananda's words strongly reminded her of her older son, and sometimes Nityananda even looked like him. Unknown to anyone, Mother Sachi felt equal love for both Nityananda and Vishwambar. When Nityananda came out of his trance, he dressed himself up. Sachi Devi gave him 5 milk cakes to eat. Nitai put one of the sweets in his mouth and threw the other 4 sweets far away. Sachi Devi raised alarm, saying, alas, alas, why are you throwing them away? Nityananda replied, why did you put all the sweets in one place? Sachi Devi said, I do not have anything more. What will you eat now? Nityananda answered, ask for it, and it will be certainly there. Sachi Devi went inside the storeroom only to be greeted by a wonderful surprise. She saw that the 4 sweets thrown away by Nitai were there. She thought out loud, where were the sweet cakes thrown, and how could they be here now? Sachi Devi was amazed and amused. She removed the dust particles from the sweet cakes and came to Nityananda. She found him eating ladus and inquired, from where did you get these ladus? Lord Nityananda replied, I saw you were disappointed when I threw the sweet cakes away, so I brought them back. Seeing these miracles, Sachi Devi considered in her mind, who can know the extraordinary qualities of Nityananda Prabhu? To Nityananda Prabhu, she said, Nityananda, why do you bewilder me in this manner? I know very well that you are the Supreme Lord. Please therefore remove your illusory potency from me. Lord Nityananda, exhibiting the mood of a small boy, went running after Sachi Devi, trying to touch her feet, and she tried desperately to escape him. Such are the super excellent activities of Lord Nityananda. They bring pleasure to the pious devotees, but to the envious they bring pain. Those envious and sinful wretches who criticize Nityananda become so contaminated that even Ganga Devi, who purifies everything, runs away from them. Nityananda is the Supreme Lord of all the Vaishnavas, and as Ananta Sesha, he holds the universe upon his hood. Although I have no attachment for Nityananda and Chaitanya, I pray that the treasure of the lotus feet of Nityananda be eternally, firmly situated in the innermost recesses of my heart. This is my earnest desire, for which I beg at the feet of all Vaishnavas, let Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Balaram, be my Supreme Lord and Master. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, offer this song at their lotus feet. I'll continue. Madhya-khanda, chapter 12. The wonders of Sri Nityananda. All glory to Vishwambar, the Lord and Master of all the Vaishnavas. Please give us devotional service unto you and make us your surrendered devotees. Nityananda performed many wonderful pastimes with Sri Chaitanya and Navadip. Nityananda did innumerable extraordinary deeds, engrossed in the ecstasy of love of Krishna. Like a little boy, he went about his work with simple enthusiasm. He spoke always very sweetly to all the devotees. He met and danced, laughed, and sang to himself in bliss. Sometimes, moved to an outburst of ecstasy, he roared loudly, astonishing one and all. He sometimes jumped and swam in the crocodile-infested, swelling, hissy monsoon waters of the Ganga, fearless and carefree. Everyone gasped with consternation, but Nityananda swam about in the waters, laughing and splashing. He swam about in the mood of Ananta Sesha, feeling completely at home in the waters of the Ganga, while the spectator devotees held their breath in anxiety. At times, Nityananda became so surcharged with ecstasy and love of Krishna that he went into an unconscious trance, lasting 3 to 4 days. These are some of the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. They are endless and eternal. I am incapable of describing them all. One day, Sri Chaitanya was sitting alone when Nityananda came to him completely naked, chuckling like a child. His eyes and pure face were twinkling, and tears of limitless joy cascaded down his cheeks. He went about repeating this sentence like loud peals of thunder. My Lord and Master is Nimai Pandit of Nadia. Sri Chaitanya smiled, amused at the sight of Nityananda's large, brilliant, beautifully formed, and completely bare frame. Hastily, Sri Chaitanya removed the cloth from his own head and wrapped it around Nitai. But Nitai continued to chuckle as if nothing had happened. Chaitanya then smeared perfume on his body, decorating him with a flower garland, and began to glorify Nityananda. Your name is Nityananda, and so also your form and demeanor are always and eternally blissful. You are Nityananda now as you were Balaram before. No one can interrupt the ecstatic and unlimited joy you experience, as your name suggests in everything you do, whether it be walking, eating, or otherwise. Ordinary men cannot appreciate your transcendental potencies. You are always to be found where Lord Krishna is present. Krishna is eternal and is the absolute truth, and so are you, since you are his eternal associate. Nityananda is perpetually relishing the nectar of loving devotion to Sri Chaitanya. All his words and deeds are fulfilling Chaitanya's innermost desire. Sri Chaitanya said to him, For a long time I have had one unfulfilled desire. I would like to have your coping loincloth dress. Saying this, Chaitanya went and Sri Chaitanya went and brought a coping of Nityananda Prabhu and then tore it into many long strips. The Lord then distributed one by one these strips to the assembled Vaishnavas, telling them, "Place them upon your heads. These are most precious worshipable objects, even the Lord Shiva, the king of the yogis. What to speak of others? One attains the exalted position of becoming a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord only by Nityananda's grace. All of you should know that he is the embodiment of Lord Krishna's full transcendental potencies. Sri Nityananda is identical to and is the immediate expansion of Sri Krishna. He is an eternal associate, friend, and brother to Krishna. He expands himself as Krishna's bed, ornaments, and other such paraphernalia. His character and pastimes are a mystery, even in the Vedic literatures, although he is everyone's maintainer, protector, and friend. All his activities are full of devotional nectar to Sri Krishna, and it is easy to attain the highest perfection of love of Krishna by serving him. Therefore, all of you respectfully place these strips from his coping upon your heads. Take them home and worship them with great care and regard." Following Sri Chaitanya's instruction, the Vaishnavas wrapped the coping strips lovingly around their heads. Again, Sri Chaitanya spoke, "Listen, all devotees. Now drink the water that has washed the lotus feet of Nityananda. You will immediately imbibe unfaltering faith in Sri Krishna's devotional service. Of this there is no doubt." Having received Sri Chaitanya's instructions, the devotees washed Sri Nityananda's lotus feet and drank the water. They drank as much as possible, 5 times, 10 times, and more. Nityananda, who throughout the entire episode was engrossed within himself, remained smiling benignly. Sri Chaitanya sat down and began to distribute this water, pada udaka, with the utmost pleasure. The devotees drank and became intoxicated, chanting, "Hari, Hari." Each devotee expressed his joy. One said, "Today was the fulfillment of my life." Another said, "All the bonds of my material entanglement were severed today." Another commented, "Today I feel I have become a servant of Sri Krishna." Still another voice said, "This water is so relishable, its sweet taste still lingers in my mouth." The water was so unique that immediately upon drinking it, everyone became spiritually excited. Some danced, some began to sing, others started rolling on the ground, and still others could not stop roaring out aloud in joy. Just then a jubilant kirtan started up. Some devotees sang songs of Krishna, and others began to dance. In a moment, Sri Chaitanya rose up and, letting out a thunderous cry, joined in the dance. Meanwhile, Nityananda Prabhu also stood up and started dancing. Unable to contain their joy, the devotees encircled both of their lordships and continued their ecstatic dancing and jostling. They were intoxicated with joy, falling on each other. They played little games, touching one another's feet and smearing their heads with the dust. Some hung on to the neck of another, sobbing happily. They all mingled happily. Forgetting any mood of reverence, the Lord and his servants all danced together. Sri Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda embraced each other so often and danced with blissful gestures. Mother Earth trembled under the rhythmic dancing of Nityananda, and the whole world resounded with Hari, Hari. Drowned in the nectarian ocean of Krishna Prem, Gaura and Nitai, the lords of Vaikuntha, danced in ecstasy with their servitors. All these pastimes are eternal. They simply became manifest at a certain time and place and again became unmanifest. This is clearly explained in the Vedas. After dancing the whole day, Lord Chaitanya finally sat down with all his devotees. He clapped thrice loudly and then spoke benignly. "Whoever worships Nityananda in loving devotion loves me also. His lotus feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and Lord Balaram. Hence, always offer your love and devotion to him. If anyone is critical of him or dislikes him, then even if that person is a devotee, he is rejected by me. Whoever has even so much as received a slight touch of Sri Nityananda, Lord Krishna, will never forsake him. Sri Chaitanya's words brought resounding applause from all the devotees. Whosoever hears these transcendental narrations with faith and devotion becomes protected and maintained by Lord Chaitanya. Such activities of Sri Nityananda Prabhu are fully understood by only those who are his confidential associates and the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, offer this song at their lotus feet. So for today, we'll stop at this point. Now coping, that means strips of cloth that are used as underwear. And Mahaprabhu tore Nityananda's kopin in strips for the devotees to put around their heads, because he was often dancing naked and in front of men and women, and some people may wonder what is going on. But Mahaprabhu shows how the purity of Nityananda. He says, take his kopin, tear it in strips, and put it on your head. Anyway, this mentions about Nityananda's kopin being distributed to all the devotees for their protection. Now, Guru Maharaj says, if you wear this, then you will not be disturbed by any sexual desire or anything just by wearing a strip from Nityananda's kopin. And I like that where the crow takes away the ghee vessel, and then what is it? Malini, she's crying. Oh, Srivas will be so upset when he hears about this happening, and then she's crying, and then Nityananda says, why are you crying? She says, oh, a crow took the vessel. And then Nityananda sees the crow and says, all right, bring the vessel back. And then the crow goes and brings the vessel back. And then her prayers are very nice. So, the Lord, who's the creator of all and everything, it's a very small task for him to order a crow to bring back the vessel. Crows are like that. I've seen them carry away many things. So the mood of Chaitanya Bhagawat is very nice, you know. Nityananda is like nobody can control him. You can just imagine. Like in some of the logic with Mahaprabhu says, why do you throw rice all over? In every room you throw rice. And he says, and he more or less says, that's because you're not giving me enough to eat. I mean, so now I'll sing Hari Harai. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giriraj Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan.
Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raguna.
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raguna.
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raguna.
Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raguna.
Hey Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jai Te Vignana Shavishta Puran. Hey Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. Pastavar Pada Renu Mora Panchagas. Pader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Abhilas. Hey Jai Gosai Jabe Bhate Kolabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayi Haman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas. Hari Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Nirmawachari Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Vaishnava Sarvabhauma, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Marga ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Ragana, Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrindi ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagawat ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananda Goti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Namadev Dham ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Shri Koladvip ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Shri Vishaka Devi Dasi ki Jai. Gaur Brahmanandi.
Jai Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.